Lester's wife were both diagnosed within days of each other with cancer right after the election. And Bill resigned right away. I wanted to, but I felt that that would just be too much after the recall to resign, so I stuck with it, and I have to say it's been a great outlet for me. We've been through a lot as a family, and you guys are like family now to me, so I really appreciate all your support, and, you know, we're still in it, but I just wanted to thank you all for helping me through this, and I really have enjoyed my time on the township and want to continue, so thank you.
Well, I want to thank you again, because I think that probably all of us on more than one occasion had conversations. Talking you off a cliff, or first you went, I'm not going to run, then you ran, no, I'm going to quit, then you won, I'm going to quit, and thank you.
And
for always sticking with it.
And in the beginning, it was so much work, and you know, and I hope I contributed as a board member. I really tried hard, but
I think you probably contributed more than board members, you know, statewide, even with an illness, you know, on average.
But I really appreciate all your encouragement and help, and you mean so much to me. I can't even, all of you, so thank you.
It's all mutual.
Thank you.
I don't want to cry.
Turn the camera.
I don't have anything.
I don't really have anything either, although I think it's really time for us to educate our constituents about how little money out of their tax bill that goes to the township operating expenses. You know, if you just talk to a few people and point out that they pay more to the interurban than they pay to the township operating fund, that really opens their eyes. So every chance we get, we should kind of talk that out.
That's a great point, and maybe those kind of snippets could go into the e-blast or Facebook posts. It was weird yesterday on that Saugatuck Douglas Informed site. The first notice was the school passed. And so all I posted was, FYI, the vote in the township was whatever, for 7-3, not 300. And how many people voted in each respective primary. Full stop, no editorial. But then some guy went with it and started blasting township spending. It didn't make any sense.
What?
And then, of course, then a whole stream started about consolidation. Ours is not. So all I was reporting was the vote and the high turnout. But I think that's a great idea. I love that. And you could come up with 50 of those in an hour. Fun fact. We don't need 50, but I mean that's
about this. And that would be my only comment on that one is until we're at the point when we're ready to start broader education, I am more than happy to sit down and talk to folks about that. What I found through conversations with Lakeshore Drive is in this community, a lot of times it's easier to have these conversations one-on-one or in smaller groups. So at least until we get to the point that the township board is ready to take a big step and wants some broader education. In the meantime, I am happy to
all
the tax bills go out.
And we all do that. That guy this morning that comes in every 3-4 months. You know, people that don't understand what homesteading and principal resident exemption means and how much the second homers pay for the operation of schools, and how can they understand? It's very complicated, but we do a lot of that talking on the phone and in person with people on items like that.
Yeah, if you just make the effort to look at your tax bill by line item, nobody has to explain to you anything else.
Right. They just sometimes they just want to know that you know.
Okay, let's move on to manager's report.
Thank you. I've got a few updates like normal to go through. First off, as directed at the February 12th meeting, staff did work with legal counsel to prepare a letter that was sent to the United States Army Corps of Engineers in regard to the North Shore, proposed marina basin. We did prepare that letter. It was reviewed by the board members that were selected at the previous meeting and submitted by the February 28th deadline. To this point, we have received confirmation that they received the letter. We have received no other feedback or comments at this time. I'm happy to discuss that letter more. Again, I know we haven't had a public meeting since that was submitted, but you all have seen that, so I'm happy to discuss that more. In regard to Lakeshore Drive, high water, erosion, that crisis, I'm happy to report that we do have some good news, and a lane with a weight restriction was able to be opened. We need to give a lot of credit to the work of the Allegan County Road Commission. They really continue to push, and I know personally I can't thank Craig enough for a lot of his leadership on that item. What this does do is allows residents to have access to their property again. So those 12 homes that had limited to no access for several months, that at least temporarily has been restored. So I'm happy to report that. I also want to at least put the disclaimer in that that is subject to future change. We don't expect the water levels to go down anytime soon, so we'll continue to monitor it. But at least in the immediate to short term, that's been reopened, and I think that's another little win to add to our list. Sundown Park is still closed. That's on the more not so good news side of that. We had a short discussion about it at the Parks Commission meeting last week, and management feels that we just need to be safe when it comes to that. It does not have a high traffic volume where we feel like we are disrupting a large number of residents, and at least in the immediate term, we're gonna leave that temporarily closed. I have continued to have conversations with the offices of several of our legislators since the Township Board adopted the resolution in January, really identifying this as a major concern for us. The noteworthy conversation that I had recently was with Senator Gary Peters' office. They are putting together something they're calling the Erosion Act. Erosion is an acronym. Please don't ask me to say what it is. But what it would do, similarly to some infrastructure grants that have been made available, it would make low to no interest loans available to local governments. At this point, it's really early in the process. I don't even think it's been introduced on the Senate floor. The one suggestion I made to Senator Peters' office was to start the conversation with Eagle and the state early on, because as it's written, it would be the money would be made available at the federal level and then facilitated through the state. So the quicker we can get that coordination piece, if it is something that goes through, I think the more likely it would be to be successful. So that's really early, but I think that's a good sign of some of the potential aid we may be getting in terms of low interest loans. I've had private residents ask about low interest loans. At this point, I have no further information, and I have no concrete knowledge of low to no interest loans moving to be made available to private individuals. The only ones that are in the process right now that I'm aware of would be made available to public entities such as the Township or the Road Commission. I'm happy to discuss that more. I believe in one of the weekly updates I shared some of the literature that was shared to me on that one. I think there's some potential there, but it's got a long way to go. And then lastly, just continuing to have conversations with property owners about long-term routes with engineer Dana Bird and Craig Atwood from the Road Commission. We've started with some of the larger parcel owners and really started to work down to smaller parcels. We are getting to the point of hopefully being able to move forward with some requests for easements, but at this point it's still very high level and conceptual. But we're continuing to prioritize a long-term solution, especially when you look at the fact that we've able to get short-term access restored to folks on Lakeshore Drive, but as we all know, that's a Band-Aid fix for now. Moving on, slowly, we staff are slowly progressing on the budget. it is our goal to have a proposed draft to you at the April meeting. With that being said, I really need to be able to prioritize more time to put towards the budget over the next month. As we all know, the board's looking for significant changes in the formatting and some other aspects of this year's budget. And as we all have been with the number of unforeseen items, we just haven't been able to spend as much time on that as I know I would like. So that's something that I want you to all be aware we are going to have to start putting some other items on the back burner in the short term so we can make sure we get that where it needs to be and to fulfill all of your expectations. So with that, I'm very excited about what that's going to look like. I think that's going to be a really big step for the township. I think there's some items that will be eye-opening, but all in all, I think it's going to be a really big step for everyone and hopefully a really positive and usable document. At this point, we're waiting on some feedback from different departments and trying to just get some more justification. So moving forward with that, as you all know, the township's computer server crashed yesterday, which, as I was kind of alluding to, is one of those unforeseen situations that has taken up more time than I think any of us would like. But as an update, it was able to be patched by IT Right, the township's IT provider yesterday. Knock on wood, but it worked fine today. But as they recommended, we need to begin to look at a long-term replacement. That server is approximately 10 years old, and the older that equipment gets, the less reliable it is. And as we all saw yesterday, when we don't have access to that, we really come to a standstill, and that's not a productive use of anyone's time or productive use of public resources. So I will be looking at getting a replacement lined up. That is probably going to cost in the $10,000 range. So my goal is, as soon as I get some estimates, we'll bring some amendments and requests before you all, and we'll see what we can do. But hopefully, as John, you mentioned earlier, that'll be another piece of maintenance. Hopefully, once we get that replaced, that's something we can start building into at least informal schedules initially, and then into some more formal schedules where we just realize hopefully we can get it where we don't have a situation like yesterday again.
I'd like to point out, I think it was 3 weeks ago, it also crashed and it was out for 2.5 hours. So
That takes huge chunks out of
they're
your
becoming-
productive day.
they're becoming more
Just to
frequent.
comment on the more seriousness of it, besides just halting that, we had a voter come in during that time, a young woman. She insisted she lived in the township. She was right on the border. Lori's like, her house number is a 4-digit one, which indicates township, not Douglas. We really looked at it, but we were not able to confirm it on our QVS because we were down. So she had residency verification. We were going to process her as a challenged voter here. She was in line when we finally got a hold of. Saugatuck was not answering their phones, which is fine. I mean, she was busy. It's not your fault. And we were able to get a hold of Douglas, who confirmed, no, she's with us. She's in Douglas. So if that could possibly be done before August, that'd be great. Our May election is going to be teeny tiny, but it just was not good. We need the qualified voter file on election days. So
We're going to be moving on.
okay, if August can be our.
I will tell you all, and don't hold me to this, or you can. My goal is to have quotes and a proposal in front of you all day.
Okay. Wonderful.
The last couple of comments I have is staff is very aware of the current and increasing COVID-19 coronavirus concerns. It's starting to be brought up to local governments across the state. I would just like you all to know that we're aware of some of the concerns. I'm tracking it at a state level, trying to follow some best practices, but at this point, I encourage you all and residents, anyone with questions or concerns, they need to be directed to the Allegan County Health Department. Those are our experts when it comes to situations like this. The township, we don't have the expertise or the capacity to provide a lot of assistance there at this point. On that note, what I will say is I will be attending a meeting at the Emergency Operations Center hosted by Allegan County on Monday to discuss next steps, and I will update you all as I learn more.
And as Abby did yesterday, being very vigilant on cleaning the voting booths and the space in here, and I just hope we should remind all staff too. I mean, I've been wiping down my keyboard and
I've been living this world for a
I
year
know,
and a half.
but it's easy to forget, you think you do it once, you don't have to do it for a couple.
It is, yeah.
It only helps yourself and everybody else.
And my last comment, and this is on a little more of a somber side, is I recently got an update from Lene Wells, our zoning administrator, and I want to put, at least personally, and hopefully share with all of you, but just our thoughts and prayers with her family. She's going through a tough family situation right now, and as we can all imagine, it can't be easy, and she's just such an important part of our team and brings a lot to our organization, and I think it's just important that we at least acknowledge her, and that our thoughts and prayers are with her family, and we wish her all the best. With that, that concludes my comments. I'm happy to discuss any of those in more detail or answer questions.
We don't have the ability with our taping system to live stream, correct?
Yeah, you do. You
We
live
do?
streamed that one meeting here.
Well, I know
Well, on
Garnet
Facebook you did.
live streamed one.
She used different stuff. She used her
yeah.
own personal.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she is.
I was like, it was poor quality.
My understanding
Okay.
is our system does not allow that.
Oh, okay.
Again, if that's something we wanted to do,
Well,
we
that's
have to
kind
look
of a
at
Well,
it.
I was
I
just
thought it was our
thinking-
system. I'm like, that's really poor.
I was just thinking for now.
Okay.
My understanding is our
I didn't
system
think so,
allows us to do what we do. with-
Right,
Okay.
just tape it, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And just for all of your note, as I think you all know, and as a reminder to the public, we obviously record these in planning commission meetings. They've been getting up within 24 hours of me.
Yeah.
So it's one of
They're all
those.
there.
There's a little bit of a delay, but
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who watch them the very next morning,
Yeah.
so we try to make those available as
That's right.
Okay,
Cool.
public comments. Any comments from the public?
crowd left.
Yeah.
Always the last one standing, yeah.
Well, thank you both for
Yeah.
coming.
We have to
So
move
we have
it
to
in.
Right,
to
but
go into
doesn't
closed
it have to be requested?
It has to be, requested by the person in
Yeah.
question.
We're moving, sorry, go ahead.
Would
You
you?
can set up.
Yes,
next time.
Yes. Yes, please what?
Yes,
Oh.
please, if we would like to discuss my